Hello, and welcome to part three of the Center for Nonprofit Excellence Nonprofit Startup Clinic, Planning and Revenue Generation. Let's begin with planning. So, even as you are navigating the immediate next steps of forming a new nonprofit, it's not too soon to be thinking about a longer term plan for your organization. This activity can begin with a very simple question. 3 years from now, what will be true about my nonprofit? Who will we be serving? How many folks a year will we be serving? What programs are we providing to our constituencies, our clients, to the community? Will we have a staff? What will that staff look like? Who are our partners in this work? How are we getting resources? Once you have painted that picture of where you want to be in 3 years, you ask yourself, well, what are the steps that we will need to take between now and then to actually achieve that vision? These steps then become the goals and objectives of your longer term 3 year plan. And this 3 year plan then becomes the context for what you will do in the next few months, in the next 12 months, in the year after that, and then finally in the year after that. So, why would you undertake such a project now while you're even just contemplating starting a nonprofit? There's two practical reasons. First of all, sooner or later, you will be asking someone or some organization to fund your nonprofit. And they're going to want to know not only how you're going to use their funds right now, but how their funding is providing a basis for your going forward. In other words, where are you going from here? And how is our funding going to contribute to that longer term vision? Your plan illustrates that path forward. It also demonstrates that you've thought about this. You're thinking not just about the current situation, but also where your organization is headed. That gives folks confidence as they share their wealth with you. Secondly, a plan will help draw stakeholders to your mission, particularly new board members. So imagine sitting down with a potential board member and you lay out that this is where we're going to be in 3 years. And these are the steps we're going to take to get there. This is the resources that we're going to need. This is the talent and experience we're going to need. We see in you some professional experience, some talent, some passion that's going to help us contribute to that, to help us to execute this plan. And that's why we want you to be a part of what we're undertaking. That kind of an argument as you're sitting down, that kind of a presentation as you're sitting down with a potential board member is very compelling. But beyond these reasons, there's even a broader sense in which planning is important. So, as the Cheshire Cat told Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know where you're going, the path you take doesn't really matter. A plan helps you to know what immediate next steps you need to take, what that path that you need to take actually looks like, and how it will get you to your vision. So is it going to work out the way you planned it? Absolutely not. Of course it won't. Life happens. In this 3 year arc, if you will, you're going to have challenges that you didn't foresee. You may have some opportunities that you didn't foresee. They'll pop up. Real life just gets in the way. But if you don't have a plan, then you don't really have a basis to make concrete decisions based on what actually happens. You're just adrift, reacting to opportunities and challenges. A plan gives you the opportunity to look at the path that you were going to take and look at the current situation and decide if that is still a prudent way to go or if something needs to change. In other words, your decisions become very, very intentional. A third practical reason for planning is to develop, is that this longer term plan, this 3 year plan, actually helps you develop a financial plan. If this is where we're going to be in 3 years, and these are the steps we're going to take to get there, well, what is that going to cost? and where is the funding going to come from to meet those expenses. So laying out your expenses year by year and identifying where the funding will come from to meet those expenses is important even now. First of all, it's going to help you complete your application to the IRS for nonprofit status. They're going to want to look at a 3-year budget. So knowing where you're going to be in 3 years and how you're going to get there is really the only way you're going to be able to assemble a credible budget that lists expenses and revenues. It will also help you as you apply for grants with funders and even individual donors. Concrete numbers about what you believe you're going to need in terms of financial resources are critical as you go and ask for financial help. So speaking of revenue, from the very beginning of your nonprofit, raising the funds is going to take up a huge amount of the organization's time. Your time, your staff's time, and the time of your board of directors. That is just the reality. So typically, where does that funding come from? And as you think about this 3-year arc, where do you want to place your resources in generating revenue? Well, typically nonprofits get revenue in these 5 ways. There's grants, both from philanthropic foundations as well as corporations. There's the annual campaign, which is really just the donations individual donors make to your organization, both the few large major gifts as well as the hopefully hundreds of smaller gifts from many individuals. Many organizations have special events. We've all heard of or been to the annual galas, the golf scrambles, the 5Ks, the revenue sharing with a for-profit, maybe a restaurant that gives a certain percentage of a particular night's revenue to the nonprofit. Oftentimes, those special events are sponsored by corporations that help, that want to tie their name to the nonprofit organization. And then there's earned income. It may be that you can actually charge for some of your services. So here at the Center for Nonprofit Excellence, we actually have earned income. We charge a nominal amount for our members to attend our seminars or for us to do consulting work with them. It may be that if it's appropriate, you can charge for your services as well. These different types of revenue aside, in the end, you're going to want to focus your efforts, though, on gaining the support of individual donors. It's within those relationships that the key to long-term financial sustainability lies. So, what should you be looking to do as you raise these funds? What are the general goals that should guide your revenue generation, your fundraising efforts? Well, among the most important is, first of all, the development of permanent relationships, right, with individuals from a lot of different walks of life. The old adage, people don't give to organizations, they give to people, is certainly true. So you want to build relationships with individual donors to the greatest degree possible, to the program officers of foundations. You want to ensure that all of your revenue eggs are not in one basket. So if your annual revenue is pretty much consists of one aging donor who hasn't made a long-term commitment to your organization, then you are pretty vulnerable. So you want to have revenue from a lot of different sources, so that if a particular source or a particular donor doesn't come through in a particular year, you are not financially vulnerable or facing some sort of insolvency. And then finally, in the end, what you're striving for in your revenue generation is just a regular, predictable income year in and year out. It may take some time to get to that point, but that's the goal. So you can predict from year to year pretty much what your revenue is going to look like and where it's going to come from. So the ends, however, don't justify the means, and so you should begin to incorporate standards as you do your fundraising, in particular, and your revenue generation in general. And here are just a few important ones. In general, you should be looking to spend about $1 for every $3 that you raise. It's important that you are good stewards of the resources that are given to you. So you don't want to spend an inordinate amount of money trying to raise money, money that would be taken away from your programming. So this may not be possible when you first start up as you're trying to get your nonprofit. You'll be spending a lot of time raising funds in the early months and year of your new nonprofit. But this is a goal you should be working toward, to be good stewards of the resources given to you. Few things will turn a donor away more quickly than being unclear or inaccurate in why you are asking for their money. Donors will not share their resources with you if they don't understand or if they don't trust how you're using them. So in your solicitations, you need to be very clear. You need to be very accurate and build that trust with your donors. An important thing to understand about fundraising in particular is that it really isn't about you. It really isn't even about your organization. Good fundraising is really about the donor, herself or himself. It's fulfilling her or his need to take part in your work. It's their need to take part in your work by providing you resources. So you really need to put them first. And you do that by using their resources as they expect them to be used, by ensuring their privacy, that they are known to the degree that they want to be known as contributors to your organization, and just by being considerate and respectful each time you turn to them and ask for their help. So this concludes our segment on planning and revenue generation. We hope this info is helpful, and we wish you continued success in your journey to launching your new nonprofit.